Let's go.
They can't hear us. Hopefully now they can hear us.
Hello.
People. It says there's people here, but the chat is very dead.
You'll have to tell me what they say in the chat because I can't see it from where I am.
Yeah, I will probably forget to do that for most of this and then randomly look back and read 15 minutes of what people have said. But
Mm.
yeah. Hey, Mikey's here and
Ooh.
already has a question. What things does Boris want to ask me for my
Oh,
campaign?
I can if we can start with that one because I think like there's one question I think Mikey should answer. Um,
Okay.
and that is that like online, Mikey likes to troll, and
Yep.
I think he should have the chance to reassure people that he won't be tell them that he will be bringing that same energy to the board meetings, or reassure people that he won't. But I
Yeah.
think I think it's fair to say, are we gonna get stirring the pot, Mikey, or are we going to get start multiple teams, Mikey?
I'm pretty sure
Like,
those are the same, Mikey. But while he comes up with his answer, I'm gonna go through my outline that I did for
yeah,
this. Hello, people who are watching that I assume are not just Mikey. It's me, Ringo. You know who I am. I hope. This is Boris. Boris, you want to say some things about yourself and you're in the sport?
Sure. Hi, my name is Boris Tuman. I've been involved in the sport for a much longer time than I like to admit because of how it doesn't match how good at fighting I am. I got involved like 1 or 2 years after the first people ever went over. Like I got involved with Rich and then Garrett with Detroit Fight Club. I was around the club for a very long time, and I have been seriously fighting once the past 3 4 years where I've been like really training, really fighting, putting in work every day. But like I've been around the sport for the creation of the ACL, split of the ACL one, and split of the ACL two. Um, and right now, over the past roughly 2 years, I've stepped up and I've been running practices and a whole bunch of other things under the auspices of Rich for Detroit Fight Club.
Yeah.
And over that time, we've gotten a full men's team and a full women's team
The,
going. And
the women's team
yeah,
have done pretty well
they
recently
have.
too,
Yeah,
right? So
we have have had a lot of success, and some of that is because we've had great help come on to us for multiple times. But like Sandy was a captain of Pegasus, and I from what I've seen, I need to review all the fights again. But like she looked solid in Spain, and we have a lot of other people working hard also. Like my goal is to bring in more and more native Detroiters onto that team and continue the results that we've been getting.
yeah. All right. Cool. Cool. So that's him. He
Yeah,
also talks to everyone with spicy takes constantly. Is in
that's true.
everyone's inboxes. Loves to slide into your inbox. So he's
That's
been
true.
he's been bugging me for 2 years. I don't know to come on to this. Uh,
About two
so
years.
I don't know.
But
I don't even know how long I've been doing this, but anyway, so that's why we got Boris here. We're mostly going to be talking about the future of the sport. He's got some ideas that he wants to go over, and then we'll also just talk about we'll riff on some things, and if that gets tiresome, we'll start watching some video of the
sure.
prime that wasn't, which I have not seen any video of. I have not
Mm.
watched this at all.
Yeah, I've seen it exactly once. It was at Balls, and we got like a private viewing of it, and that was a
Oh,
very big
nice,
deal.
nice. And they told
Yeah.
and they told you all of the like what they were thinking while they were.
A lot of them did. Yeah, it was mainly Daniel giving the commentary, but it was neat to be like in the room with most of those people,
Nice.
um, and then to see the footage I had not seen before.
Yeah. Cool. So we'll be getting to that. First up, though, I just want to make some plugs. War in the North is happening August 12th. Everyone should sign up and go to that. It's it's good. You should come do tents. Um, Also, the AMCF VP and co-head marshal, we're still taking applications for that. So Please, if you're willing to step up, please put your name in so that we can, do that. Boris, do you have any things you want to plug?
Well, let's see. I got my one thing that I do is my charity contribution for the sport. Tell people about startfighting.info. I'm probably gonna do another overhaul update of it soon to update the fact that HMB doesn't exist anymore and whatnot. Also, like if you have improvements or if you see things that that every fighter should like every person trying to become a fighter should know that isn't there. I do take suggestions on updating it. But yeah, Start Fighting That Info is me, and I'm very proud of it. And the other things that I do and promote are the Detroit Fight Club with our men's team, which does not yet have a unique name, and the Sisterhood of the Pegasus, Soritas Pegasi.
Nice.
Um, yeah, so those are the main things that I do in the sport, and yeah, that's some things I always love to talk about and work on.
And startfighting.info, in case you're unaware, is a website. It is one of the best to point people who are new at it. Mikey says he wants to help with that. Also, he answered your question originally, and I read it, but then forgot to read it out.
Sure.
So, Mikey is going to do both. He's going to continue to troll the fuck out of leadership and expect others to do the same, but he will bring real info to noobs. Which, yeah, it's both.
Yeah,
that sounds
sure.
pretty classic, Mikey. Chachumuhu? Chachamainu? I can't do your name, whatever. Any teams registered for War in the North? Yes, we have 2 teams, I believe, registered. 2 squads registered from San Jacinto. So that should be almost a full 20-man. The Wyverns they've registered 2 squads. Iowa has registered, and I think 2 others, but I don't remember everyone's name. We have a bunch of people who said they're registering, and I would really like them to, actually put that down. The Warden's supposed to be. Kenya's says they're probably going to come. Warlord said they were coming. The Mythics said they were coming. The Steel Coven is supposed to put together a team to come. So we have a bunch who are saying it, but we'd love to get them more. But yes, we do have a bunch of teams already registered. Cool. Yeah. My attempt at French. Yeah, I'm not good at multiple languages. Pretty terrible at it. Last week I gave a challenge. The training challenge was to try to do an Asoto off of strikes, so like throw a 1-2 combo or like a shield punch, leg shot, whatever, any sort of striking to set up your Asoto instead of like from a clinch, from a grapple. I fucked it up and was not able to pull it off in any of the sparring I got. It's actually a lot harder, and I probably should have slowed it down and drilled it. On my PAL, I was able to do it, but my PAL doesn't fall over, so.
That's actually one of the main setups that we've been training recently is a step jab to a Soto.
Yeah. I mean, and specifically I want this to be off a combo, not off of just one single. I want you to set up the full thing because, just throwing the one strike in is great, but usually that just makes them walk out. But by the time you're landing a combo, you probably have the range down. And so that was my thought with that, is that if you just throw a strike, people usually back up in this sport.
Yeah.
That's the default, especially in Melee. Some people will just eat it, but a lot of people take a step back. And then you lost whatever range you tried to get with that step, and you probably aren't going to hit your Asoto. So the thought would be if you get that combo going, that they're kind of sitting there playing that game now. And that's the hope, but because they're not going to just run away from you.
Yeah.
In theory. Anyway, so that failed. So yeah, boo that. In the future, I'm going to try to video my attempts and put them up, and so everyone can laugh at me when I fail, or if I do something cool. And so the next challenge will be at the end of the video. Last things before we get into the into the main meat of stuff. Just Bohurt news in case anyone didn't want to read my article, because reading's for nerds. Colorado had a tournament. Wyverns and the Rust Knights showed up. They ended up having to break up into two teams, so it was the Rust Knights went with both the Wardens and the Wyverns. Wyverns took it solidly, but nice on the Wardens for getting their first tournament. Good on them. We like that. Castle Tournaments, which is a newer org that I don't think has got a lot of eyes on it yet, but like it's coming up, and it's been putting together some events pretty semi-consistently for a year or two. Had a pro fight night. There was Ryan Howard beat Eric Hiller in a decision. Joseph Damiano beat Chris Crandell in a decision. Sam McQueen lost to Richard Jackman in a decision. Mike Giuliani beat Drew Shipley in a decision. And then Raul Phoenix got a TKO in the first round. So that was cool. I mean, it's an armor TKO, so not the best, but whatever. We'll take it. Nice to see not everything going to decisions. Knights Hall ran a training camp. Don't know how that went, but it's good to see that more people are putting together explicit training camps. We love that. We love people focusing on not just doing demos, not just doing events, but like let's get together and train. You guys had a demo, so good. We like that. We like people getting out and doing that as well. MCU did their seminar, their weekly seminar. It was on secretaries. If you missed it and you're an MCU member, it will be up at some point for you to watch again. They have not figured out exactly when and where, but so yeah. The Cincinnati Barbarians have a Twitch as well, and they had Larry on. If you look talking about authenticity, so if you're interested in that, which everyone is, you should go watch it and get mad because there's no one who talks about authenticity and doesn't get mad. So yeah. Events that are happening this week. Vegas, the Den of Werewolves, is doing 3 fights. I don't have the names of their fighters, but it's kind of pro fighties, and then they have a polearm championship on the line. I guess a regional thing. I don't really know much about that. The Tournament of Deeds in the UK is going, and the Torneo Tavola Rentonda e Ferrara in Italy is happening, and I'm sure none of those were real Italian words. But point is, Bohurt International has 2 possibly big tournaments going on. Hopefully we'll get to see some video from that. Looking forward to the Tournament of Deeds in particular. Knights Hall is doing a demo, Decolonize and Discover, which I guess is some sort of LARPy thing. So that's cool. And the Oregon boys are having a big training and fighting event. So if you haven't figured out your weekend and you're close enough to Oregon, go to that, because it'll be good. Oh, man, I still have more news. Last news bits, the Death Dealers as a team in Vegas are gone, in case anyone knew about them. They were around for like 2-3 years, kind of. Were trying to make it a name for themselves, so that's kind of weird. When big teams fall off. Bohurt, or bigger, known teams at least. Bohurt International has a website. That's cool. Everyone should check it out. It's a really good website. The link is boohurtinternational.com. It's a real hard one there. The AMC board nominations have closed. So if you wanted to get in on that, shit out of luck. And the Night Finder that the ACS put together is actively updating all their information. So go check to see if your team is has the right info on that, so that it'll be good. Mikey says that he's campaigning for the AMCF board seat, and you should vote for him as news. But we haven't announced the people campaigning Mikey, so you're jumping the gun. Nordic Fox, Rust Wyverns versus the Night Wardens was a fun time in Colorado. That was good. Glad everyone had fun with that. Just a couple of shout outs. how do I copy links into the chat? Can I do that? Nope. Well, never mind. I was gonna send some shout outs to buy this shirt and look at some videos, but I can't post links. So never mind. Fuck that shit. No shout outs today. And that's it. Alright, so let's talk not news. Let's talk future news. Future stuff.
One day might be news.
Yeah, one day might be news. So we'll start off semi-locally. What do you see? What are you doing there?
I was just wiping my camera.
Okay. What do you see happening with DFC to start with? Like, where are your local goals and how are you gonna get there?
So local goals long term, best team in the world. That's that's really what I'm shooting for.
In 2 years.
And
in 2 years. DFC,
yeah, I know about in 2 years.
Best team in the world. No,
that's a long term goal.
Nope, you called it 2 years.
I have my work cut out for me to do that in 2 years. So in 2 years, 2 years rest simple. 2 years, one is a facility. We're working. That's something we're in progress with now. Our own space where we're running different kinds of programming. I'd say in 2 years, I'd like to have at least 3 teams within the club. Right now, we can't manage more than 2 teams. I'd like to really have 3 clear teams there, and to expand out practice more than what we're doing it now. That's really the main goals, and I think those things are going to be drivers for where the teams will be. I think the teams are going to be solidly competitive. I'd say I don't think we're going to be cracking top. At least in the men's division, I don't think that's enough time for us to be cracking top 5. But like
top 10,
maybe top 10. It depends on who else pops up. Top 10's a pretty big range, but definitely if we're in a tournament, people know who we are, and they know it's a tough fight.
2 years, can you beat SJK?
Oh, that's a good question, because the problem is SJK also has 2 years. I'd say I think in 2 years I would like for my guys to be competitive against where SJK is now.
Okay.
I don't like ever saying that I don't like using the term we can definitely beat them or not, but I would say that I want them to look at us and be worried.
Right. All right.
Because but SJK could also explode the next I think they're your pick for team most likely to explode into the top 5 in the next 2 years.
I think that one of the top 5 is going to fall off, and I don't know who, and I'm guessing SJK takes the spot. That's my thought. They have to put some things together, and someone else has to have the thing fall off. But that seems to usually happen, and I think they're doing all the right things to put it together.
I definitely think they could pull it off, and it's not unlikely. It just depends on how they put the next step together, what that looks like.
Exactly, right? And they can't lose any of their top guys, which is always a problem. Injuries happen. People get life. And then also, if you the big thing that sort of pushes groups over is they find it doesn't even necessarily need to be a new star, a new really good fighter, but it does need to be someone who changes the energy of the team. You bring someone in who either that changes the training, or they are just a crazy athlete, or it's just something. And so, we'll see if they.
Well, it goes to see it going another way, where I think they have Tanner Cox, and I don't remember the name of the other
Taylor Jones and Tanner Cox are their 2.
Yeah. But so the other thing that could happen is, in theory, they could bring in guys who are really good role players, and they could up their role players while having those who still be they're killers on the team, and that could also be a way it could go. I think that's. I think
we haven't seen that happen, and that'd be real interesting if they're one of the first to pull off the hey, everyone on the team is just kind of good. But we add up to a team of stars. Every other team has, and not that Tanner isn't good. Tanner's a good fighter, but he's not he's not one of the top 10, probably not one of the top 20 fighters in the country. I don't know. The top 20, you start to get a little off. So he could be
Yeah.
there, but like he's
I also
definitely
saw.
definitely
Yeah.
not top 10. And like I think every other team that's in that space has someone who is at least in the argument for top 10.
Yeah.
Um,
Interesting. 'Cause, like I don't know much about SJK beside like they have Nick the Giant. I even didn't realize who like I seen them fight, but like only recently I put together, oh, Tanner's the fast guy. I see on the field, doing
yeah.
stuff and fighting well. Um,
He's kind of like a different McCabe, right? Like McCabe
mm,
does all of his stuff as very in your face aggressive checks, and his throws even are like he'll grab you and he
mm,
throws his whole body into it. He used to go down all the time because of it. He's gotten a lot better
mm,
at not doubling. Um, but like it's all kind of like right there, very obvious stuff. Like even though like he's catching people who aren't looking, like it's still like a big
mm,
he's gonna make a big run and he's gonna try to catch someone from behind, right? Like
yeah,
that's and and the axe, he does the big axe.
yeah.
Um,
I did see
t-
a sweet Soto of his from Spain.
yeah,
And you saw the same highlight that I was talking about. Like
from
it was a
Tanner.
gorgeous. Yeah,
Yeah.
Tanner. Tanner
So
had
yeah.
yeah, it was a gorgeous like someone jumped in, he had a Soto like in motion in the air that was glorious.
Yeah, Tanner. So that's the thing. Is Tanner's stuff is way more timing. He gets so many foot sweeps and foot sweeps from behind, which are really sick. Where like he'll come
Hmm.
up while you're running and then like do a quick foot sweep, like kicking your leg, but not just that. Everyone does the you kick the heel into the heel. He gets the hole with the shoulder. He does it all. It's a
Mm.
much more. He's a much more subtle flanker runner, dude. It's not sort of like I'm just gonna try to run you over. He's gonna try to do, like yeah, he'll try to get you to jump on him, and then oh, sorry, there's my counter. It's almost like Brett, but decided to be a runner instead of
Hmm.
instead of standing on the rail and just throwing everyone, and obviously not as good,
Yeah.
right? Like, um, still very good, but not that level.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so room to level up.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think if there's gonna be the third big, there's this oh fuck, I forget his name, but they were sending him on runs constantly in the 16s,
Hmm.
and like that's all he seems to have now is just be the runner guy. But like if he can pick up, yes, Arlon, thank you. If he can pick up some of that, either some of McCabe's stuff or some of Tanner's,
Hmm.
slick shit. But we'll see. Who knows? Um, hey, so you said you were gonna get a place though, right? How are you gonna
Yes.
achieve that? Because that's the thing
Um.
everyone wants to do, and no one seems to know how.
So, well, I mean, so what we're doing like with our model fundamentally is we have we have a membership based model. Like we have a starting fee, we have a monthly fee. If you're a part of DFC, like right now, almost everyone who's a part of it is a fighter and comes to practice, most of the time on average. So like that's really what we're doing. So we're like going with like a model like similar to how like any competitive martial arts team would do things. Like that's kind of my approach. Anything that I want to do with the team, a lot of it is I look at it like, okay, what does everyone else training travel athletes do, and I do my best to do that. So that's kind of the that's kind of the initial way we're doing it. Initially it's going to be based on the money the club is taking in from our membership fees, and the key thing, like I look at everything, is I see those membership fees as kind of like as like a plow thing on my shoulders. Like I see like as it's a grandson there, because if I'm taking money from people, that means I have a massive obligation to provide the service worth it as someone both training people and running the club. But that's kind of the goal, is to have that in. And then it's kind of paradoxical because the moment you have a space and you know what you're doing with it, you could introduce more revenue streams. Like the things that I think everyone should like be thinking about is if they get to that point, obviously the obvious thing is if you're not using it, someone else should be and subletting it. But I think there's room for a lot of programs, like if we watered down and make like night fit for like suburban dads to be
Right.
taken advantage of like flip tires, hit the pell,
Right.
do some other Tabata stuff, put that together in a professional way that's going to bring in money, and those people can then be exposed to sword fighting. I'm a big believer in lightsabers for kids instead of doing kids boo hurt, because I
Okay.
think because my logic is this: I think kids boo hurt has a lot of potential, but um, lightsabers, everyone already knows what those are. Like one of the biggest problems in our sport is the education gap. Is that when someone sees our sport, even after seeing it, you still need to educate them about it. As a viewer, as a potential fighter, there is that education gap. Whereas, like, if you're looking at kids, it's going to be hard to get a parent to understand this weird Russian originated sword fighting sport, but they know lightsabers, and their kids are more likely to be excited about, a 6 week, like, a winter break 2 week lightsaber camp where you could just have people teach longsword dueling with like lightsabers and fencing masks, than they are about, like, making the next bear cub team, like I think they have in Russia.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my take with like what the space is going to be, but that's one of the goals, and I think it is doable with, there's a few ways to do it. Nashville had a bunch of fighters go in, get like make major investments together. So Nashville is, people think it's all Mikey, but he'd be the first to tell you
Mickey.
that it's, yeah, Mickey, sorry, that it's a group effort of
Yeah. Yeah.
people putting things in together, and then they went out, they found investors. That's a more difficult thing to do, and they matched it. What we're doing is we're looking to get our monthly income up enough that when we go ahead and look at either look at a loan, look at a bank, or just are able to pay rent straight up from there, that we look good as a viable business.
So are you charging the same that you're gonna for membership fee that you will change once you get space, and then you're just sort of
That's
banking it, or are you gonna raise the
that's a good
rates?
question. I think our fees are going to have to go up at some point eventually, because everything's going to have to go up. I don't plan on, like, things are going to get dire for us for me to raise existing members' prices,
Okay.
but it's still going to be. It's and like there are other things I'm thinking about. My ultimate goal is that whatever people are paying, there's more we're going to be able to get out of having the facility.
Yeah.
So that's going to open up more tiers, which I think Nashville also does. So you might have like the Boohurt only tier, or you might have okay, we might run like a yoga studio out of here, and we'll work out some deal with a person doing yoga that the standard Troy Fight Club members get a discount or whatever, like something like that, where you are getting more value out of that higher price.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that also my goal is, for whatever space we get, is to see if I can get an event space, and probably and do a similar version what Nashville is doing, in terms of having that, as another source of revenue.
I
And ultimately, my like long term goal is to lower prices for people. Like, eventually, my dream is that we have enough revenue coming in from people working out, from kids classes, from other things, that we have room to, save like veteran fighters. Like, if you're with us like 5 years or more, then your fees are going to be really low, and we can even like sponsor you for a tournament, things like that. So that's kind of the dream of like what I would really eventually like to do, but that's a few steps away.
yeah. That's that professional MMA level gym.
Almost,
Um,
yeah.
so basically the plan is put some money to the side, get a space, and then in that space build up your hobbyist white belts. And hobbyist not no longer meaning what we talk about, which is like people who throw on armor just to go to do demos, but people who might throw on armor once, really, who just want to like work out, maybe swing some swords.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I get things like that done. Like, for the DFC hobbyist, is like the way I'm setting up my club. I don't think will ever have a significant group of people who own armor and will just show up the things once. If you're a member of the club, you're like, the setup is you're paying monthly and you're coming to practice,
right.
and that's kind of is intentional for me. Like, while if people can do this sport however they want elsewhere, but like what I'm interested in building isn't built around the people who want to only just show up once in a while and just like and engage in the sport that way.
Right.
People can have fun. I'm not going to tell anyone in general not to have fun the way they want, not to enjoy
Yeah, no.
armor the way they want, but like,
That leave
that's
that
not what
up.
I'm building here.
That's me and
Yeah,
Mikey. We got that. We'll tell them not to have fun.
yeah,
You do it my
but
way, or
like,
you get the fuck out of the sport.
yeah, it's Yeah, like and here, like for us is like, I'm running something where you're coming to train. That's
Nice.
the main thing we're doing. You're coming to train, like, you're encouraged to be part of the team. I explain to people that you're gonna want to go to events, you're gonna want to buy armor, but the training is really like at the core because I think that's where everything comes from. That's where I interact with my team the most. That's where, that's
Right.
where we like, that's our socialization. Like we as a team, like we don't do enough because we see each other so often in practice. I get a bit lazy about like doing as much like out of practice stuff for engagement, but like, yeah, we're just practicing often. I think it is the way. Like it's the best way to engage things.
Yeah. Uh, Definitely is sort of the model that the most successful teams seem to
Hmm.
have been having. So you tried something new um, for bringing in money at this Ren Fair, right?
Yeah.
You were telling me about. So
So yeah, this was Rich had the idea of because people love the experiential aspects of run fairs, and we decided to look at like offering something. We didn't know that anyone would bite on it of saying that like come over here, you're gonna pay a fee, and we're gonna get you into armor, and you're gonna join in on one of the demos. So it's the demo we do is at a small Renaissance festival in Canterbury in a thing called Canterbury Village, which is a collection of like medieval style buildings where like there could be shops and other things, and you could like it's an event center that is like designed like a like maybe 15th century village.
okay.
So we have like the prime space there, and I told Rich like I told him like let's set the price high. Like I don't expect anyone to do this, and we can't have people pre-register because if someone does and then they don't fit any of our armor that we have available, like we have to refund them. It's a pain. So we're like, okay, we'll make it available in person. And then someone went ahead. To my surprise, they're like, sure, let's do it. So we got them kitted up. We
How much
had
was
them
it
do
again?
it. We did it for 300. So
300.
300 for the for for getting on, and that like so the person came over. We got them kitted up. It was great because he was 6'6", but my legs fit him perfectly.
What?
Uh, they were hanging a little low, like they were hanging like a low on me, and it wasn't my greaves. So like between those two facts, like he was a foot taller than me, my legs worked, and it was very bizarre. Like it shouldn't have worked, but it did. Um, and so he went out. We got him armored. We had like he did like a good 10-minute training session before, just moving in armor, striking and practicing with a fighter. And then at the when we did the demo, he did one of the duels. And we would have had him do more, but he was done after that endurance wise
Yeah.
because it's the first day. But he had an absolute blast. And then what we did as a follow up is we said, hey, if you want, come take a month free at the club. And if you want to join, we're going to waive the startup fee that we usually have. So about like that adds up to about $200 easily. So if he goes to join the club, he's really planning to come to practice. That he's going to be getting back 2/3 of what he put down at the Ren Fair.
Yeah.
So like so I think we're going to be trying more of that in the future at demos. And then when we're running our own events at our own place, we might end up doing something similar. And I also think like I think teams should consider things like this because there's like everyone has stories about those guys who want to be a badass for a day. And like people think they're going to join the team, but like that's not the intent. They just want to put on armor once they
Right.
fight and they're done, and they'll have it as their profile picture and tell people about it forever. And I think for things like that, like there's nothing wrong with monetizing that as a service because you're putting your time, you're putting in your gear, and it ends up either being either you've gotten back money for what you're doing and putting your time in, and your club now has more money to do cool things with, or you have someone who genuinely gets a taste of the sport and really like they have a good experience with it and they're ready to invest more.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like the idea of renting it out to people and like trying to make night for a day. That's definitely a thing that's been kicked around a lot in
Yeah.
a lot of different ways. But like to do it as sort of like, hey, while we're at a Ren Fair, you get to be part of the performance, and also it's your entry into the club. Like, that's a putting that all together. I've never seen that done, and I think that
Yeah.
really is a very good take on how to do it.
Yeah, Rich gets all the credit for the idea. Like I wish I could say like, oh, this is me putting it together. I was like skeptical of it,
Yeah.
honestly. But no, it worked out. It worked out especially well, and
So,
it was great. We have done other things like that before. We've done a bachelor party once,
yeah.
where we they had some foam fighting for all the groomsmen. Showed them how to fight, and then got the groom armored up. So like that, I think did not lead to anyone joining the club
Yeah.
as closely. But I think these experiences, like I think the Renfro was the best example. But I think these experiences also they have potential. Like part of it is like we are a novelty. Like we don't like you and I were like, no, this is a sport. Like we're like I am here just like I go to Brazilian Jiu Jitsu and learn to choke people. I go to this and I learn to sword fight and throw people.
Yeah.
But like I think there is realizing that aspect of like to other people, this is like a bit of a freak show.
Yeah.
And
100%.
we can if we can use the freak show to support the sport we love, as long as we balance it right, like why not?
Yeah, on the Cincinnati stream last week, I think it was Sean Fabian or maybe it was one of the guys was saying that like what we really need for this is to get our oh fuck I forgot his name, the circus dude, the guy who like that like started the circus, like longtime scammer. All that's
Oh,
stuck in my head is WB Mason.
I know who you're
But
thinking
that's
of.
the guy.
I want to say Barnum and Bailey.
No, no. But yeah, basically though, we need our crier. We need our like dude who just comes out and fucking and yeah, makes us a freak show shine show. Um, maybe it was Barnum Bailey. No, it doesn't feel right though. Julie said though that this method keeps the Vanity Knights off your Bohurt team, which I think that's
Yeah.
it's another good aspect of it. All right, so where do you see America in general going in the next couple of years? What is Boris's view of the next of America?
That's a good question. Like for me, like I will also nakedly admit that like most of my like focus is very internal. Like I care more. My club is the first thing I look at, and I don't know. Like I think things can go a few ways. Now like there is progress being made among both like savory and unsavory characters. Like we see that like Nashville's like really making moves. Like they got a sponsor from a beer that I recognize. They are running routine events. And I think, it could still like I really want it to work out. Like I'm still like I'm kind of holding my breath when I look at it because I want it to be a successful model, and I'll be very sad if it turns out not to be. Like on the other side, like everyone's favorite controversial team, the Fire Drakes, also just now have a facility. So you do have teams that are making progress with putting things with putting things together. Like on smaller notes, Johnny Porter is like finally starting a team and using practice space.
Oh shit, is he
With
really?
yeah, the Vagabonds.
I haven't
I
heard
talked
about
to him a bit
this.
about it. Yeah, so he started posting about it. He always been running like a small practice like that. It was him and another guy who wanted Johnny to train him, and Johnny's like wanted a team and like was like looking at getting out and recruiting people, and I think he's already starting to recruit people. And I think that has potential because part of it is that he understands, like he's involved in MMA, he's involved in training, so I think he understands. If you've been in gyms, you know what it take, what a gym should look like, the goal you should be going to. So I
Yeah.
think there are places where we're going to see, more professionalism, or we're going to see more establishment, and I think that's the future, because like I think like every single team captain in the U.S., if they haven't already, could real like needs to stop and realize that for the entity that they're running, they should look at a strip mall taekwondo place, and that should be like their current moonshot goal, because that place has a facility, has mats, is able to financially sustain itself through teaching. Like that's kind of like what everyone should say like right now, like how do I get here?
Right.
Like and if someone wants to run like, the happy kibbutz, like booher collective of people who meet in the park, if that's all you ever want to be, that's fine. But like, I hope you're not the future of the sport because I hope that's not like, I hope we can do better than that. Like, um, because I think that like that professionalism, like that's the future. Like, if we get places where if you have a local place to do booher that is on the level of a strip mall taekwondo place of professionalism, the sport is like already doing so much better.
So,
There
but
are
you
other like yeah.
you think the next sort of wave of gyms are going to be more gym than event space? Because like that's been
That's I kind of hope like I think too many people have dreamed of the event space first, or too many people have thought about like they thought like a lot of the refrain I hear is like this is going to be like this is the next UFC, this is going to blow up. And when people say that, they're not thinking about the infrastructure of MMA gyms and of instructing and of other things that actually hold up UFC. Like I think there's a 1 2 hour Travis Stevens podcast that was he's like one of the like most like best judokas the US ever produced, one of the best judo trainers, and he was saying that, like, based on his calculation of how he runs the money sheet, it's more like it's you end up with more money as someone who starts like a strip mall judo place long term than as a UFC fighter, like outside of the top 10. Just like if you're not doing another gig, it doesn't find it's very difficult financially with how much you're spending and how few times you actually can fight.
right.
Like so all these people they're also training martial arts, they're also part of gyms, they have other streams of income. Like if we want this to be like UFC, we need the training in order to get the people to train the people to supply the people to be at the events to happen. But the other thing is I think newer people are very creative. I think we definitely have more creativity than we do professionalism. And I definitely think that if you put like a decently run space into the hands of those people, they could figure out having an event space and a training space. Like that's
Right.
kind of my goal for our facility. It's going to be, training space first, but like I've already thought of so many ways that I can like, 10 minutes, roll out this, put this here, drill, drill, drill. And then boom, we have a list indoors and we just need to set up chairs and we can start setting up fight nights.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know if that is the future, but I think the sport can stay stagnant. Like that's one option. Like things can like continue as they are with maybe more people because the sport is growing. But I think like if the sport is to evolve, it's going to be because people are starting to professionalize. And I think the smarter way to professionalize is to get out like, even if they're small, like, there should be a professional institution where I can go do boo hurt in the cities that it's currently in. Like that's kind of the hope
Yeah.
for me at least.
Yeah. I am I'm with you on that. I worry that being able to fund a gym space. So I 2 years ago I was looking at possibly cashing at my 401k to open one
Mm-hmm.
up. So I was crunching the numbers, and there's very few communities that have enough Boohurt fighters that you could run a gym on Boohurt money alone.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
like it depends on how cheap you can find rent in whatever area and a bunch of other stuff, and like whether you're willing to charge $200 for a membership fee or a more standard 125, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or like a cheap 75 or something like that.
Yeah.
So you have to find like you said, like a yoga or like a HEMA, or like you have to
Mm-hmm.
add and like a lot of gyms make their money either on self defense classes
Mm-hmm.
or children.
Yeah.
And we can't do self defense classes really because
Not Booher self defense
yeah, I was
classes.
gonna say like, what are you gonna do? Walk around with a sword everywhere?
And no,
And
the truth is like so much self defense is nonsense that I wouldn't
yeah.
even feel bad about
Uh,
like I would not feel bad about like being like mace flashlight classes. Like this is how you beat someone with a flashlight and just
yeah.
have it be like Boohurt mace like mechanics.
I mean,
Um,
it's similar to a lot of self
Yeah,
defense.
make
Yeah,
a whole flashlight, like you make a whole
sure.
make a flashlight defense organization and license it to all, like license it out like ACS. Like they have a shadow org of like, that's our whole thing. It's like how to defend yourself with flashlights, and like we just teach mace work.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's the big problem with starting
Yeah,
a lot of people is that you have to find all these other ways of bringing it and
yeah.
bringing in, and so yeah, so generally seem to go with shows, but maybe we'll find a way of just doing gyms. What do you think the new meta is going to be? You've been hinting to me that you have some
So
thoughts on this.
I
So
so I don't know if this is a new meta because we talked about this. I think like the next thing like we're gonna start seeing. I think, and this is my guess. Like so far,
all right,
like
wait.
Sherbert.
First, define what you say the real meta is now, and what the jump's going to be.
So right now, I think I don't like. I could be like misusing some of these terms. I think right now, what we've settled into is the stuff Brett got into originally. So I think like a lot of the things where, on average, fighters know what a Sotogari is now. So Brett's like Holy Trinity is doing a lot of flow between Taitoshi, Sasai, Asoto.
Right.
That's what kind of like the revelation. Brett went to judo. Brett loves figuring out exactly like the silver bullet of what it takes to win stuff, and to do that, as he's done with like every sport I think he's gotten into so far, and that's what he came up with right now. So I think right now people understand it's a lot of judo takedowns that are there. People are like running, two people on the rail. You have a variety of runner, like that's of older stuff. But I think right now, like the last innovation of the sport, new meta or not, was a lot of these judo takedowns, and now that spread, everyone has some idea of what it is. Are they good at it yet? No. Is it used widely? No. But like, I count it as like what's going on currently, because there was a point not that long ago in the sport where no one knew what a Sotogari was, and now, on average, the average fighter who's like fought in like more than one tournament knows what it is. I'd be willing to bet.
Right.
And I think the stuff that now is, I think, more on the cutting edge, is also introduced by Daniel Krug, because like he came in with an MMA background right as we started seeing the demise of the rail and something much more akin to the wall of a cage.
Right.
So he started bringing in like wall work and things that were physically impossible with the rail, but he wasn't around that long when they were physically impossible, so he never got stuck in that mindset. And he started adding a lot of like those wall takedowns. So I think that's gonna be some newer grappling that we're gonna start seeing, is a lot of that wall stuff. I the other thing that I think is the future, but I don't know if it's going to be realized, is I still think we're in an era where it's five individuals fighting most of the time, and if you've been fighting long enough and you know who you're fighting with, then you can start doing coordinated attacks. I think that's the reality right now, where the only people who are working efficiently as like multi-person teams are doing so out of experience. And I think the sport is massively going to level up when we have people doing that much earlier as a result of training. Where the easiest example is what I'm like, and this is also that I'm really trying to achieve, is in a 2-on-1. The way I see like an ideal well-trained 2-on-1 happening is two people get on, any two people on one team know the series that you've drilled of, we're going to do XYZ in order, and like, or I'm going to give you, or I'm going to call to you and give you like, hey, we're doing this, like, and then it can just happen from drilling.
Right.
The moment I think people are working coordinated together from training, I think that's going to be a level up. I think that's going to, because right now already on average the one loses the 2-on-1 interaction. I think the moment you have two people coordinated, it's going to make 2-on-1s that much more effective. It's going to make it, I think, almost impossible for anyone but the best to get out of two people who are coordinating things together, because I think just that it just really solidifies that advantage. So that's where I think things could go. I don't know where things will go, and I think whatever I say will just like magically be wrong by nature of me guessing it. But that's what I think. Like that's what I see as the next best thing. The other thing I have started seeing from the top guys, I'm gonna call out Brett with this in particular, is I've started seeing more striking. Like a lot of times people used to think, oh, just grappling doesn't work. Like, sorry, grappling works, striking's gone now. But you're starting to see more where like Joseph Brandt will just put his knee into your chest armor. And his knee doesn't know that striking doesn't work. His knee thinks it works fine, and so does his opponent. Or Brett, especially, I like saw some clips in Prague. I started with like his fight against Spencer, where Brett's like, "Oh, people just think I'm a grappler. They forget that like I've only started grappling recently, and I fought foam for years." And he also had done Muay Thai for a bit before he focused on judo. So Brett is throwing a lot of kickboxing and like really hard strikes, much more than I've seen him do recently. He started adding a lot of that to his game. So I think we might see this might be the pendulum of a return to striking, where it might be just might be that we've needed more efficient striking this whole time. So that's what I've started seeing, but I don't know how well that's going to drip down beyond the top layer.
Yeah, I feel like it will. I mean, get it. Be you don't. I don't think you need to be a fucking an absolute badass with power or like a perfect technician to strike through someone's armor to hit them,
Mm-hmm.
and people have gaps, and
Yeah.
finding those gaps is very doable. And even if you can't do it with enough, right? So one of the things Brett loves to do is throw instead of throwing it straight out here,
Mm-hmm.
he'll throw it like this to put the buckler line right with where most people's
Yeah.
breastplates buckle up.
Mm-hmm.
And get a little bit of a chest compression there,
Yeah.
and maybe knock the wind out of them, but mostly just get a little ooh, like a good teep. But like even if you can't get that, like I would, one of the videos I was reviewing of my fights in Spain, I was throwing a bunch of punches into a dude's hip, and eventually it just sort of made him take steps back. That dude had a fucking cuirass on. There's no way he like actually felt any of that. It's just, because I'm punching straight steel. It just, but like if you punch a joint, it moves, right?
Yeah.
So like, and like I'm not a fucking technician, and I haven't been hitting the bag in a while, so my power's probably down. Like, so like I don't think I bet that it does drop down to that people who are actively training it, we start to see the striking come up. The big problem I think is that a lot of people never really trained how to strike well with weapons or learned how to punch with a shield, because punching with a shield isn't the same thing as punching.
Yeah.
Right? So like if you just go work the bag a lot, great, and like you have great boxing technique. Throwing the hook with a shield is a completely different thing. It's almost always a long hook, right?
Yeah.
And like throwing, you don't jab really. You always throw like a cross or a straight, and you always punch for the back of the head, right? There's just like, if I'm actually standing in a boxing, I'm probably just throwing my jab. I want to, fuck up your nose a little bit. But like each one of these is almost a shotgun jab, trying to step into them as much as possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we'll see it drop down as long as people know how to teach the difference between striking in the sport versus just striking, right? Because it's a different thing.
The one thing I wonder is like I wonder if the narratives of like this is just armor judo like will dampen that. Like I wonder if like just everyone assuming that like well striking isn't really what works. Because that is like I think a current belief in the sport. I wonder if that'll dampen down and be a self like will like be a wet blanket over people who might otherwise go out and be able to learn that effective striking.
I mean, I think it depends on how the rules affect armor, right? So as armor gets better, if we continue to sort of try to nerf weapons and allow better armor, striking will continue to be less efficient.
Yeah.
And that's just how it's going to be. And then like it will always have a place, but it will become more judo and armor. But like if we limit the amount of modern padding you can wear, if we get rid of TI, you know, then I think we'll start seeing striking come back. But then also a lot of people are going super minimum TI because they think that that's the speed is worth it, and so you can do some real work through minimum TI. So
Yeah.
I think it's just people need to like realize that like, oh, there's a bunch of dudes out there that like if I hit him in the back with a two-hander as hard as I can, I might like that's gonna go through to his liver easily. Like there's it
Yeah.
doesn't matter what he has under that. But we'll see.
Yeah.
If we if people are wearing Kevlar and motorcycle armor and and then the TI on top.
You're
Yeah,
describing like a kid I've been trying to build right now.
yeah. Well,
Uh,
then like it really might pull all of the sting off of it, and
yeah.
then it doesn't matter.
But the other thing is, I think if I saw mention that grabbing armor might be on the chopping block. I think
Yeah,
if that happens, it's gonna reduce the grappling meta a bit because like I think the throws will still be there, but like grabbing a shoulder is great. Grabbing an elbow cop is like I need to play with him more, but like that's gonna
it's
if
a
that's off the table,
it's a huge part of Dominance's game. So like
yeah,
of getting their grips. So it certainly would help. You know. So I think another thing that might help a little bit is that if we allowed uh, allowed you to like fall, but then if you could get up real quick, you'd be fine. So that like if a takedown isn't fucking solid, if the dude can just scramble back to their feet, there's no pinning action, there's no whatever,
mm,
just let it go, and then you either have to fucking slam and pin a dude, essentially get an epon or get control from BJJ or takedown from wrestling,
yeah.
or
I
you
definitely
have,
want to see that.
or you'd have to make them yield, and like if once people can scramble up more, it might be you might find that making people yields a lot quicker than trying to get a pinning action.
I think that'd be like a nightmare to like Marshall, like the with people getting back up. But I definitely would love to see a play test of like that. That sounds fun. Like
My
that's
my
I would love to see that.
my
Like give it a
theory
try.
is that it would be very easy to marshal if you have six marshals. So you have one marshal just doing general marshal
Yeah,
thing, and then five marshals, sort of lists like sideline marshals. Each one of them picks a fighter, and like you go. If we have the red gate and the blue gate, these marshals always pick one fighter off of the red gate, and each one has a different fighter. Because as long as they're watching one person watching each of those fighters, they'll always be able to tell what's going on. It's basically like you have a ref in a wrestling match, and a ref can handle that at a wrestling match. So why wouldn't they be able to handle it? It wouldn't work at the mass melee level. It doesn't. It doesn't scale up. It
no,
stops at 5. But you know, I I,
no.
I I would love to see more stuff like that, but I don't think that will ever take off. I think that's me
What
dreaming.
the six reps or the
Scramble up,
scramble ups?
yeah. Like I mean, they got rid of the knee down that they were playing with as an experimental rule. Do you remember
Oh,
this?
they did.
Not knee on body. Had a rule that they were experimenting with where your knee could touch the ground, like
Yeah.
completely touch the ground. And then they were like, "Oh no, we're getting rid of that."
Oh, yeah.
That
Because I
was
remember every American thought that meant a double leg takedown because you pop your knee down as you
yeah,
do one.
yeah.
But like,
It was the same. It was in the same playtest where they came up with the rail, and I
yeah,
think they had subs in that playtest too.
yes, yep. They had tagging and
Yeah, which I
which
love. I
is
want that back. That's
I just like I lots of people can watch like their attempts, but I would definitely like that's the other thing. Like I think like could be fun in demos, and like or should like consider is like let's allow people to run experiments. Let's put rules in, let's have something where at demos we have a bunch of teams run the same wonky format just to see what happens.
yeah.
Like the scramble up format. Like what if there's some way to disseminate? like the teams, like you're looking for fun things to do in demo. Hey, try this and fill out this report or send us this video. And that could be an interesting thing to do because then before like talking about like making a rule, you'd have that data. Because that's kind of what they do in Russia. Like they were doing in Russia for those HMB rules. They ran tournaments with the experimental rules.
It's true. If only someone were involved with a national organization that could handle such things.
Yeah, but the problem is you're involved with the national organization with the least control of its own rules.
Yep. Yeah, true. True. And also, I'm not in control of it. And also, we host now 2 events a year.
Yeah. Well, no, that's a good thing. Like that my quip was like, like if IMCF only ever hosts one event a year, like I'm sorry, I'm not gonna tell any of my guys to ever become a, AMCF marshal because like you can maybe,
Right.
if you try to go overseas and say you want to do it and you say you've only ever marshaled one event domestically, I don't think they'll let you like be a marshal overseas.
I
Um,
mean, maybe. But
unless you're
also,
out of people.
ACS does a lot of IMCF. And also, ACW, they apparently still exist. So they do
I don't know if I'm sending in my new guys there either. But no, I think it's a good thing. I'm really happy to see the potential because Cyrus was down recently. He talked about some things, and I think there's a potential for us to get like one of my spicy takes is there is one actual domestic league for steel fighting in this country, and it's the ACW. Be,
Whoa! Whoa,
no,
that
because
is a
okay,
spicy take.
because what does like if I okay like let's say I go and join like the local kickball league, like they have an adult kickball league I see all the time, right? I get a team, I get a season, I get a schedule, and we have like things that go through all the way. I don't just get insurance to run my own kickball events, like a set of rules and like a Facebook group, like those are all like the ACS and MCUSA. They do valuable things, but they're not leagues. Like there was individual action from some people in those leagues, like at least one, like duels league fine, maybe duels league counts, but like that also is not like I'll cop to that. It's the ACW and duels league
I mean,
from MCU
Duels
because they
League. We
actually
also haven't seen Duels League do anything in a year.
not well, yeah. Carnage was like it had stuff counted in duels league, but like yeah, we're not seeing many of those events. Meanwhile, the ACW they have a regional qualifier that puts a team together for a national qualifier. That is league behavior,
All
like
right, all
it's
right.
like but I think so talking to Cyrus there's some thought about having ranked pro fights happen throughout an amount of time. I think there's also room to do like to have some sort of other like I know you hate having a single selection tournament, but
Yes.
tracking teams and fighters through a season, like incentivizing out some sort of more league style, like things during the year could also like I think that's also how like that looks like it's in the cards. But I think like more action will be there because like to get more spicy, like I like a lot of things the ACS does, but I think it kind of like my critique of the ACS is it always seems like stops short of like what it could do potentially. Like my vision for like a regional commander means that like first of all every single captain in there you can give a one sentence description of what's going on with any team. You are actively like I think I like and the minimum isn't like what Sean did with putting together seasons, but if every single regional commander was motivated to try to put together a basic season for chapter wars, that'd be
Right.
amazing. Like
Yeah.
that would mean that we'd have a league.
Yeah.
And if you do that for like 1 or 2 years, you build hype around it, then you could start like really convincing people that it's worth their while to go to the chapter league championship in Vermont at the end of the year. Or if you have these events that are all sponsored, then when you have your national qualifiers for ASNACs, it's not just whoever shows up.
Right.
Like it's not normal for you to just hop to the national level with a tournament. Like having things happen,
Right.
um, like that. Then earn a qualification spot. Like, and I'd love to see more of that. I think it's hard because people might scratch together just to make one major event. But I think like that'd be something that'd be baller to have in the sport from both a fighter's perspective and an audience perspective. Because if you have reoccurring events with teams, that's how you build an audience. Like you're like, oh my God, it's those jerks from Colorado are coming back to Omaha and we lost last time, but we're gonna crush them this time. That's a conversation that can be generated from in multiple. I don't know how far Omaha and Colorado are from each other. They're both just very far from me. But like those are sorts of things that I'm starting to see maybe AMC have dipped their toes into that I think no one's really done yet, and we could use more of.
I mean, I the ACL started to do it, right? And
Hmm.
then the problem was they never formalized it, and then they split up. And like
Yeah,
that would be my only critique with your spicy take is that the ACW says they have qualifiers and then a national tournament, but like I bet they don't really actually have qualifiers. I bet they have a regional event and then they have the
yeah.
national tournament because that's what the ACL did
At
as
least
well.
that's true. At least I'll give them credit, like at least paying lips. But I think no, like other than
Yeah,
dual league, no one else really even pays the lip
no,
service to trying to
I
to
think
have
you're
a
right.
league.
I think
Yeah,
you're right, and like a lot of the rest of what you've said are very much words that I've been you know
yeah,
I've been on that train for a long time. I think building a sort of routine schedule, something where we can get
yeah.
teams hyped behind their own team would be great. And, maybe someday we'll see it. Mikey says regional teams were bad and are bad, and the ACS doesn't do a chapter war system, and that's why it won't happen.
No,
So,
so I'm not like advocating for creating regional teams versus not. Like that's a different discussion. But I'm saying like the idea, like the way I would do it is, if you win your regional, I'm fine having it be like in my world for your national championship to be a club event. Like, you got the best club in the Texas division
right,
for like is one team and
right.
like and things like that. Like I don't necessarily need the like regional super team system, but I do think the concept of a Buhurt All-Star tournament with these teams put together, I think it has some potential somewhere. I just don't know where I'd put it.
Like an all star tournament is in like you make
Like it all like
Dominus and then you make Dominus B and then you make
yeah, yeah, or
okay
like or you like an all-star game in basketball. I
right
think that'd be something
hey
more done for fun at the end of some other massive event.
right yeah
Like
that would be cool
yeah,
that would be cool
but I don't know that. I don't know if I buy into that, like if I buy into that version of the ACL system.
yeah um,
It had a lot of good ideas. I don't know if that's one of them.
I the regional I liked the regional because we are a recreational sport for the most part,
Hmm.
and that the argument for clubs in terms of being good is that you fight together more and you train together more, and
Hmm.
therefore like for the most part that wasn't happening and still isn't
Yeah.
happening, and then even
Yep.
in the places where it does, right, like Kat and I have pretty good synergy, but like Brett and Kat are still going to be better than me and Kat,
Yeah.
and probably the same way, like with so so that's where I thought the regionals was good.
Yeah.
And like it's not like you couldn't bring two regional teams. People did that all the time.
Yeah. I
So
think
everyone
skill wise,
still
you're right.
as everyone still got to fight. And like I think the All Star model has proven that it works the best because Dominus is
So far.
the best team. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see what happens, but like at the moment, I think the All Star system is the way to go.
I think that's true, but I think Dominus only like centers like if you talk to Joseph and Daniel, they're they're really clear about the fact that like they always fight together, and they fought and trained together for a while, and they will say that like if you split them apart with two other people, you're not getting as good of results
Sure.
as together. And like it is like a lot of like people who train together from the other team, so I think you're still getting some of that synergy benefit,
Yeah.
but I think ultimately it does lend more to your super team argument. I think so far
I
that's been proven more on the field than what I'd like to believe is true about the sport.
I mean, like this was always my argument for why we should get rid of a tournament that makes there to pick the team to go over to whatever event to pick the Team USA and have a tryout instead, because at a tryout you can find those pairings, those triplets, and
Yeah.
go, oh, and like so Joseph Brandt and Daniel, they will see that they work very well together, and because they train very well. But we might also find that they both also equally work that well with Nick from SJK, right?
Yeah.
Like, and we would not know that ever, right? Like if we didn't do a tryout and mix and match, and so like it's not against saying you don't get synergy, but it's to say, can we find synergy that doesn't exist?
Yeah. No.
Can we find additional synergy?
No, I think you're right, and I think like it's a perspective question. Like the way you look at things is you're just looking at like an answer of like how to get the most skilled team, and that's the one consideration. And I think people would disagree with you
for Team USA.
For Team USA. Yeah. But I think when people are disagreeing with you, they might not even realize, but what they're disagreeing with is your premise. Is that like what? Because like the thing is, a lot of times people might be choosing to value, hey man, like Bubba here is not. He may not be a top 10 or 20 fighter, but he has like been putting in the work with us every day. He's like he's been fighting with us. He's part of our team. If our team wins it, he's coming along, and people might feel lots of people say like, sorry, Bubba's a scrub, get him out of here.
Right.
Like from a skill perspective, but people are looking at it, it's like this is the sport I'm doing with my friends. I want to share the success with my friends. And
sure.
like for the tryout, one more thing.
Yeah.
So it's a similar idea for the tryouts. I think like in an ideal world that does produce the most skill, but there it's a concern of like people have been burned so many times by like leadership in this sport. They're like, no, the only thing I trust is like whichever team is the one with with more than one person standing at the end of the fight. Like you can't.
I understand the trauma, the ice induced trauma, the J induced trauma, the Avaloc induced trauma. I get it. I think they're all wrong though. We should all troll leadership more to traumatize the leaders back. Good point, Mikey. Except me. Yeah. No one troll me. I'm a sensitive boy. People should be nice to me. The thing is, and like this is again one of the things that I dislike about the split and the ACL split and what came afterwards is I don't feel like any other group created the unity of purpose that the ACL did, right? Like, we used to make fun of Ice because he said everything was a family, where guys were a family, and then, like, would ask you to pay your family fee. And it was like, are we a family, bro? And so it was, it was not quite that level of, like, brotherhood, but at the same time, the ACL was very clearly like whenever we got together, it was like, hey guys, we're a unit, we are a thing, we're all trying to build this org to do this thing. And now people are just clubs, right? Like, the clubs in MCU are just clubs in MCU. The clubs in ACS are just, and like there's crossover, and that's great. It's great that everyone can play with each other, but there isn't this. Even like when we come together for the AMCF, like we definitely don't have it when we come together to get ready for Board League World Cup right at
Mm-hmm.
Carnage, right? There was no unity of purpose there. I don't know if there was unity of purpose in Prague. I assume there was, but I bet it was not the same as the one that we used to have back in the day at the old
Yeah.
IMCFs and possibly even the old Bottons, which again I would guess did not have that same unity of purpose because again it was three clubs representing themselves and then whoever else could come,
Yeah.
right?
So I see where you're coming from. I think that that unity of purpose was going to die no matter what. I think that like even if the ACL never split, um, I think once you start having more to do in this sport than just having like once there are more cookies, then going over to represent yourself, then you're going to have like people who are looking for those other cookies too.
I don't think so. And so like if you so like the SCA for example, right,
Yeah,
has a bunch of kingdoms, and each kingdom, well, I don't know if every kingdom is like this, but the East
yeah,
and the Mid and Atlantia, the three big kingdoms that comprise and make up Penzakor, and also Ethelmark, which is not as big, but
yeah,
they all have that unity of purpose thing at their events. We go to our events, we fight to win. Different houses fight to do their own thing, but at the end of the
but
day, most of those people all come together to be like, we are this kingdom, right?
mhm,
So that when we go to Penzik, which is their world championship or whatever, or their nationals, whatever the fuck you want to call it,
yeah.
they come together as this. Hey, we are all unified by this thing, and everything up to this point was it's bragging rights. It's me. I did beat you, but now we're all together in this.
Mhm.
In that, and every time we do it, even after the bragging rights, we still feel that unity of purpose. After
So
every melee, we talk about how are we going to add what we just did into the team. And
mm,
that doesn't happen at Carnage. Didn't happen at Nashville. I haven't seen it happen since the ACL died, and I don't see why we couldn't do that.
mhm,
Just because people want to go and do other things, right? Like, uh, if you if the JV basketball team scrimmages against the varsity team at a high
mhm,
school, they're gonna go as hard as they can. If the JV beats them, they're gonna fucking rub it in their faces and they're
yeah,
gonna celebrate. They're gonna have their own thing. But then after that scrimmage, they're gonna come and talk together about how the whole team, can be better, right?
yeah,
Like, because it's about the high school. It's about and like, there's no reason we can't make. There isn't a reason why that shouldn't be possible
yeah.
for clubs to be like, yeah, no, we
I
fight, and I'm super glad I beat the shit out of uh, the
mhm.
the fuck knights. But like now that we fought, let's talk about how the fuck knights and us are gonna get together to make
Yeah.
a better
So
group.
I think we're seeing a little bit of that specific dynamic happening. Like this started happening at the Arnold. In between rounds, Dominus was training with primarily like Iron Lions guys were the most interested. They in between like in between fights, they were out there, they were showing stuff on the rail, they were showing like teamwork stuff. And I
Right.
think that might be kind of the new a new bottom up approach that's
Sure.
happening. I think balls is becoming more popular with I think you're planning to attend balls this year, right? So like
No.
I believe no,
I was
you
going
were.
to, but now I'm going to War in the North.
Oh yeah, I forgot we're in
I
the north. Well, my point is this game, like if we have someone who fights primarily with the executioners, looking at going over to balls, like to me that
jo-
seems to have
Josh will
like
be there.
yeah, like the exact same point. Like, Josh, someone who was primarily involved in the ACL, and in ACS, like, in the Knights Hall world more, like going over to, go to the training camp that is being held by, the Phoenixes of the Iron Phoenix, and Brett. Like, I think that also is starting to, like rebuild a different kind of unity.
Yeah,
I
I agree. I'm not trying to say that unity doesn't exist. I'm trying to
No,
say that
yeah,
and that we aren't. coming together and people aren't
Yeah.
training. But there was this feeling there that is
Yeah.
gone,
A
and I don't.
camaraderie, a brotherhood. Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't the thing they said it was and claimed to be. It was not that level of brotherhood, but at the same time,
We were all going out to do the same thing.
There was a sense that we were all on the same team.
Yeah.
Mikey says in it, unity of purpose, you mean getting put on the tents and forgotten by leadership. I'm like, yes, right? Like that's why it wasn't a family. That's why it wasn't a brotherhood. Because the leaders were, as you pointed out, Boris, bullshit and fucked us.
Yeah. But I wonder how much of that came from the fact that the times you're describing were not that far removed from when most of the people of the sport were literally guiding together to be on one team to go over to Russia and fight for the first time.
No, 100%. That's what it was. But we didn't have to lose that, and it would be a thing we could rebuild. But no one seems interested in it. And
and I wonder if I think it might bubble back up. I think it's gonna end up being something different.
Sure.
Because we have too many people who came in, especially post COVID, where they had years in the sport of there not even being an international championship to look at.
Yeah,
which is going to be.
It might, but Mikey, to your point about the Iron Lions getting help, and Mikey says people were asking questions at the event and seminars. Isn't that unity purpose? And I'm like, no, because that's what I do if I go train at another BJJ gym, right? Like if I go to a tournament and I see someone hit a cool move, I might try to walk up to him and be like, hey, buddy, I just saw that you hit this weird fucking...
mega plata.
Yeah, whatever. Can you show me that? Or especially if they did it to me and I have any interaction. That type of stuff happens all the time. And that's not... There's no unity purpose. There's no team. There's barely a team between the gym, the guys on the team at most gyms. Most gyms don't put together that unity of purpose.
But if you all felt like you're on the same national BJJ team, which doesn't exist.
But I mean, there are
judo's a better example.
Judo, and there are good gyms that put together a thing where they do feel like they're on their team, and to the point that people don't fight each other when they come up in matches, and other guys accuse that of bullshit. They're like, how you can't you have to fight your guy, and but some gyms have it, some gyms don't, and we're getting. I think we are getting better at a unity, but I don't know that we'll ever come back to this, that there is one team mentality, and I think we should, and I think we'd be better off.
I think if we don't have two national tournaments at the same time, then there is hope, because this year there was not one Team USA, there were two Team USAs. And I think that's a bit of a killer for unity of purpose, because
sure.
I think if we have one time where we recognize that we have one area where we're targeting putting the best team, and where we're targeting winning, and the other tournament is seen more as a European experience. That might be that might be a way to go.
Adventure tour and the competition. Sure, no, that makes sense.
You want one thing that the competitive guys aren't gonna want to routinely skip for skip the competition for.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. The only problem is neither group is gonna want to back down on that, and but maybe
alternate. No,
maybe
you can do it.
Maybe
no, because if everyone alternates and one year they do their adventure.
You're talking about if Buhurt World Cup goes every 2 years and IMCF goes every 2 years.
Yeah, which I think both leagues have expressed some interest in, because it's easier to run that sort of thing every 2 years than every year.
They have, and maybe they will even coordinate and work together, and that would be amazing if they did.
Yeah, if they had every 2 years and it's the same and it's on the same cycle, I will write an angry letter to someone. You have my words. I don't think a letter will do anything, but that's ridiculous. If that were to happen, that'd be that would be what would happen in this sport from what we've seen. But yeah, I do think you're right. That's something I actually never thought about before, because I've been involved in the sport while there was that unity of purpose, but I wasn't there at any events because they were all on Saturday.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for me, like the split was great because that was the first time. Like it was the autumn assault that we invited the Warlords and
Right.
some other teams over.
We were there.
I
We were there.
Yeah, but you did not come to the bar Saturday night when I could actually go to stuff.
That's true.
Otherwise, we would have met and talked.
That's true.
Because who did I meet then? Brett and Brennan. They sat across from me, and Brennan was like, "Hey, we're holding a tournament in Texas. You should come." I'm like, "I can't, dog. It's on Saturday." He's like, "No, it's 2 days." And I'm like, there's dueling on Sunday, and I like that was and like that like the split led to that autumn assault, led to me competing at my first event that wasn't like a demo
Yeah.
at Detroit Comic Con, um, which was a great event, but like that was actually
It
the
was a good
first time
event.
I went compete with anything. So like
No,
I do think you're right that
I
like
think here's
getting it back. Yeah, go on.
I think the split was a universal good, right? Like, for one thing, I think ice is a cancer in the sport. Let's come out and say it.
Yeah.
But like, in a way that the rest of the toxic leaders aren't, right? There's toxic, but like,
Mhm.
I thought they all brought good things. I don't think ice brings anything good.
I well that is he hasn't in a while.
I don't. I don't think
I
he has since I have been involved in the sport.
I like at least my view is like I think he's had good ideas because unless everything I'm about to say was exclusively Jay and not him, I think he has a good idea about like putting together a league, like having a league for the sport, having like I don't know what his place on was, but I think some of the ideas from the ACL were good ideas, and I assume some of them were his ideas.
What's up,
Unless he managed
Lane?
to only had the bad ideas.
So I think qualifiers were his ideas, regionals and stuff. But like the league, the chapter wars, and the attempt
Mm-hmm.
to really make like a domestic thing, that was Jay,
Mm-hmm.
and the rest of the work on that was like, Jay, and basically people in the Northeast talking
Mm-hmm.
about how we thought they should run. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, he might have had some good ideas, but they were before I started.
Mm.
Everything since I started, not. What's up, Land?
Yeah.
Joining just in time. We're probably gonna
Ah,
be wrapping it up soon.
that's true. Land is one of the Burr fighters I've had a privilege to host in my home.
Oh, nice. I feel
He
jealous.
came out for he drove. He was like in his military course. He was like 4 hours away from us, as opposed to like 12 hours away from us driving because Halifax is ridiculous, and Land only lives in ridiculous parts of Canada for that.
Yeah, it
So
sounds right.
he drove down 6 hours for a demo just to fight with us. So I hosted him at my home there. So yeah, I have a special place in my heart for Land.
Yeah, no, everyone does. Land is the best of people in the sport. 6 hours. But yeah, I think the split was a universal good because of the way the ACL kept their fighters indoctrinated and kept us from with the social pressure from playing with other people,
Mm-hmm.
and then lied about it basically as well, and then kept people who played with other groups out from competition.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the split was good. I just the one of the things that wasn't the that we lost there, and that I don't think other groups had was this feeling that we were all on one team. And maybe
Yeah.
maybe Balls is bringing it back. You're right. Maybe you're right, and maybe that
Yeah.
will come
It's
back. But anyway, sorry I dodged your birthday. You should take it up with the Reavers for making some terrible choices. Met Paul in person a year, and he said Andre told him not to ask you, like not to talk to you. I'm guessing is
to
what Land's
me.
saying. No,
I
Land's
wish it was
saying
about me.
Land said I met Paul in personal year, and he said Andre told him not to ask me to me, which I assume means not to talk to him.
Mm.
Which sounds like what Andre would do. But anyway, it's 9:30. Talk, yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
we got through like half of the stuff I wanted
That's
to
true.
cover, and didn't get to the prime that wasn't. So maybe we'll do this again. And
Sure.
yeah, so yeah, gonna start wrapping it up. Reminder: War in the North. Please register. Please come to that. Land, bring your boys to Minnesota.
It's right near Canada.
It is. It's not near the Canada. Uh,
There's no states between Minnesota and Canada. It's just right there.
um, be my own person. I am my own person. The Reavers uh, did this exact same thing they said they don't like about the Hall, which in and of itself they banned the Brookses from coming with
Mm.
like 3 days notice to the event that the Brookses were coming to.
Yes, I
So
did hear
yeah.
this mistake, in which I do like the Reavers and people I've met from them, but
Yeah, no, I like them. I think they're great guys.
publicly banning people over things it's a choice.
Yeah, and
Like
like
it's not the way to go. Like
I think there are times to do it. I think they even
yeah,
may have had some justification with some of the but doing
hmm
it 3 days before with basically no warning to
or
three for three different people for
I I
questionable
would
actions is
the yeah the way like I'm gonna say this because I think it's a general good thing for the community to hear. But I think like in situations where like if you have a problem with someone and they haven't like committed a crime
right.
and like even like a crime, and I mean like a crime, not like you know, the best thing to do is like always the first step is like reach out to them, let them know you had a problem with it, say hey like can I expect this not to be a problem again,
Right.
and give them that first shot.
Right.
Because that time, then the next time it's a problem, if it is something that's repetitive, you have the paper trail of saying like, "Hey, man, you told me this wouldn't happen again.
Right.
What do you
Exactly.
want from me at this point?" And
Right.
then that gives them the chance. It's done in private.
It's
It's
and that
it's
that's the professional way of handling it. It's
yeah,
I 100% agree. Especially to do it with the late notice. That's the thing
yeah.
that
That's
where you're like, come on, buddy.
yeah,
Anyway, so yeah, I'm trying to be better about not supporting things when people do shitty stuff. Which sometimes means I don't go to the hall too. um,
yeah.
Anyway, register for War in the North. Everyone should come do
We're in the
it.
north.
You should come do it. You should do it.
I'll see. I'll see about saying I've been talking to my guys about register. We might send someone up for at least the Marshall seminar.
Land, you can fly. You don't need to drive 30 hours. Just fly. Flap your wings. Yeah. Also, AMCF VP spot. If you feel like doing that, and the AMCF co-head marshal, we still are taking applications. We'd love people to apply. Um, Remember the DFC plugs from Boris. DFC's Deferred Flight Club. They're good. The Pegasi. Go support them. Go like their pages.
Everyone calls it Pegasus. Pegasus.
Pegasi.
Yeah,
Follow Instagram. Do you guys have Instagram
we have
presence?
Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and I think Twitter. Oh, there is also a unofficial Pegasus Twitter, which name I will not drop, but for you to find, in which they take things I say at practice out of context and
Nice.
post them.
The out of context Boris Twitter. I like it.
It's
Carnage
the
registration dropped. What? Carnage dropped today.
yeah,
It's real early.
that's true. They've already been posting like 9 teams have already filled out the registration
God damn.
so far. Yeah, at least 9 that he's announced. I know we got it filled out for both for the men's team in Pegasus. And it's gonna be this year there's gonna be only one team per club. So that's gonna
Shit.
yeah.
Well, I
Also
gotta.
there might be I think Larry maybe mentioned. I'm gonna start this rumor now. That's
Yes.
gonna be 3 2-minute rounds for pro fights. I think I heard that,
Yes.
which I'm excited for and I'm going to be training hard for
Yeah.
because I want to take one. My intent is to win 165 again.
Nice.
um
You might have some competition. I might be coming
i
down there with you.
I want competition. I want Like I'm already started my periodization training for it. But yeah, that's so Carnage. I think I don't know if all these teams are going to make it, but it's like Larry's anticipation. He's not going to let one club take two slots.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Um, Also, more guest plugs though. Startfighting.info. Check it out. It's a great and show it to new people whenever you want to be like, hey, this is the sport.
yeah. There's a
Startfighting.info.
section on how to like what to do, how to start generally, what to do if there's no one else near you. There's a 3-part guide on buying armor and how to like go about that in an intelligent way. I think a lot of the aspects even experienced fighters could learn from, if I may say so. But yeah, there's everything from like, I need to update the numbers, but budget costs to approaches to buying to saving recommendations, to authenticity recommendations, to optimization recommendations. So yeah, that's it's there's more than just getting introduced to the sport on the site.
So good stuff there. And then Mikey wants to set up a meeting with you to go over stuff for the site.
Sure, I'm available.
All right. Um, so yeah, I like to at the end of the episode, whatever these are called, podcast stream, whatever the thing is, recommend something, give a shout out to something that both the that's I've been enjoying, liking, found interesting, whatever. So this time I'm gonna shout out the writers' strike, the Hollywood writers' strike, and possibly the SAG strike might be going on as well. I don't know if that actually ended up starting, but yeah, it's there's been a lot of fuckery around streaming content and writers not getting paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, go read up on it. Support the Hollywood, the people who write, not the studios. Yeah, and just be aware that unions are out there doing cool stuff. And if you hate unions, I guess fuck you. I don't know. Like this union anyway. This union's doing cool
Yeah,
shit.
this union is what gets you all your Netflix
Yeah,
shows. Like,
exactly.
if you want more good Netflix shows, not written by like amateurs in Chat GPT,
Yes,
which is it's not going to be as good.
it will not.
Yeah.
All right, Boris, do you have a recommendation? Something you want to give out?
Um, Let me think. Let me give a quick recommendation. Okay, quick recommendation on the top of my head. It's getting warm. And like mint lemonade, especially in slushy form.
Mint
That is,
lemonade.
yeah. This is huge in the American South and in the Middle East.
So do
You
you?
take
Yeah, go on.
so like there's a few ways to do it. Like one is like just take mint leaves and there's a word like there's a bartending word for like
Muddle.
muddle them into the lemonade. The other fun option is you make it into a slushy with ice. If you put in the mint in there, like the coolness of the mint works really well with the sweetness and the sourness of the lemon.
All right.
So I highly recommend everyone try that, especially on a hot day.
I'm definitely gonna be trying that tomorrow. That
Yeah.
sounds delicious. Last thing before we go, challenge of the week. Every week I try to give a different training challenge, or I did for a little while and then I stopped, but I'm doing it again. So this challenge is a pretty simple one. You do it. It's a PAL challenge. So if you have a pole arm, an axe, any sort of two-handed weapon that is not a longsword, what I want you to do is I want you to do 3 onside offside combos, but without breaking tempo. So bop 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 bop. Right? It's very simple. But when you do it, I want you to go. You throw your first one onside, your second one offside. Don't change hands. So onside offside, and then is your first one. On your second one, onside. Change hands to throw your offside, and then go back with your hands in that reverse position to finish it up. And try to do that in one take without without fumbling it. Ideally in your gauntlets. I tried it earlier and fucked it up, so I'm gonna be trying it again and see if I can actually
Yeah.
get this down. It's not super difficult, but it's also not super simple. And that hand change when you have a pole is super important. Whether you want to do pole arm fighting for points, if you want to do it for points, it's a must-have. You have to be able to switch hands. You have to be able to fight from both sides. And in Melee, it's not necessary, but it's very helpful to be able to throw with your weak hand high.
Yeah.
Lots of people don't, and then if you come up on a guy and you're trying to throw like this and your buddy's in the way, you don't have a shot. But if you just switch it, hey, there's his hip, there's his ass. So learn to be ambidextrous. Is that how that word's pronounced?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's very important and good for you. Yeah, and with that, we outie.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.